So this is how I would break down a 2-person crew, a 3-person crew, etc. I'm sort of thinking it as a holistic thing and not so much the rigid departments that Hollywood and the Western way of shooting talks about. So let's jump into it. So for first department, we have actors. They're not traditionally a department, but you need the subject, because the subject is what the camera is going to be recording, and that's going to be what the movie's about. Usually, it's a person or persons. Maybe it's your dog. Maybe it's stop motion stuff. But you need stuff in front of the camera to tell the story. Usually that's actors. If it's a documentary, the subject or the person that is what the documentary is about is going to save a lot of trouble about this, because they're going to be done. But most of the time, especially when I'm talking about narrative stuff, you need actors. Even if you're the actor, but I strongly recommend against, especially for little tiny stuff, you being the actor, but also you being an integral part of producing it. Especially if you're an actor and a camera operator, or an actor and a director. Most of the time, the mental load is just too much, and that's really what we're trying to get around. Because once things start falling apart on set when you're shooting, that's how the movie doesn't get finished. So it's all in planning to not let the movie fall apart in production. Anyway, so we got actors. We've got a director, and that's gonna expand into a bunch of other stuff, because it's not just the Hollywood tippy top creative person that wears scarves and sunglasses and stuff. It's a bunch of other technical roles connected to that too, that the director themselves should probably not be responsible for in set, because they're already dealing with sort of the mass scale of the stuff, and I'll get into that too. Sound. I put sound so close to the front, so it's the third most important thing in this logic, because it either works or doesn't. So you got to get sound working. So I'll get into that. Camera department is going to be disappointing, because it's the most exciting, the most flashy, the most sought after, well understood. So probably short of the director role on short films and little stuff. Camera department is sort of a pretty low priority, or at least in my opinion it needs to be. Lighting and grip tend to be 2 different departments, but for little stuff it usually is the same person. Sometimes they're called a swing, sometimes they're called a gaffer. It really depends. And then art, and that's the one that's going to upset people who work on set all the time, because that's just not fair. But this is the props, decorations, anything that is not basically the actors that's going to get captured in the frame on the camera. That's art in my definition of it. This includes special effects. I don't think I would put costumes in this, because I think costumes needs to be with actors. But yeah, so that's the group. So actors, director, sound, camera, lighting and grip, and art. Already we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 roles. If you don't count the actors, it's 5 roles. So it'd be really nice to have 5 people to do it. It's not, yeah. Anyway, and the whole thing is it all expands out. That's the whole thing. So actors, it's nice to have wardrobe, costumes. It's nice to have makeup. I'll talk about how I handle it at the cheapest levels. Yeah, so you have actors, wardrobe, makeup. So director, obviously you have the director. You also have the first AD, the assistant director, and they're usually the time person. They're the ones yelling. They're the ones that are tracking how long every setup takes, because they're the ones that have to plan the day and get the day done, get the day shot for the director and for the camera team and everybody else. And so the first AD may be the most powerful person on set, even though the director is the one that's going to get all the glory. So I really don't like it when the director is also the first AD, because they're working against themselves. And I'll get into more of that in a minute. You also have second AD, or just additional ADs. These people have responsibilities and roles, but it's not the same usually as the first AD. The first AD is a very technical role. Second AD is usually like a planning or logistics or whatever the director needs kind of role. And then it can go all the way down to PAs, but I'm just going to, for the sake of this, say we're not using production assistants because there's just not enough people to really, yeah. Anyway, sound, you need a sound mixer as a person. Oftentimes the boom op will also be mixing, or you're just not mixing and you're just hoping for the best. But usually you need somebody to handle sound, just in general. Camera, here's where you get disappointed. Camera, you need a DP, director of photography. I'm gonna say DOP, or cinematographer. But in the case of little tiny projects where it's 3, 4, 5 person crew, they're gonna not just be, they're basically just gonna be capturing the frame because they're gonna have a bunch of other responsibilities that aren't gonna be so, abstractly creative the way the director would like. So additional people in the director's department, maybe first assistant camera or second assistant camera. Usually the first assistant camera is the person pulling focus. For tiny stuff, that's almost always the director of photography doing that. And if you're doing that, then there's no point for a second assistant camera because that person is just helping with lenses and keeping things organized. And so, again, that's going to fall on the director. Lighting and grip, it tends to be its own single person for tiniest crews. We call that person a swing. There's other names for it too. Sometimes it's a catch-all or just a grip or a gaffer. But traditionally you have, like all the grips from, they're the ones that moving stands around and helping stuff and lifting stuff. And the lighting technicians or the gaffers or the electrical team, we'll just call them gaff. They're the ones handling the lights and moving lights around. And I think I don't know. I don't want to go out into the weeds about this. And then our department, yeah, it's it's scenic, which is stuff on the location or on the set that they need to worry about. Props, special effects, which could be water, fire, air, all the above. Hopefully not fire on your short film. It's just not worth it. Yeah, so it's already getting messy, but that's a good way to start. So let's start with a one-person crew, because I think the short answer for one-person crew. So we'll say, yeah, here we go. So we're gonna have the subject, which is the actor. Call them A for actor. And we're going to have a one-person crew. They're going to be everything. So they're going to have to be the director. They're going to have to be the first AD, which is the time person. Probably don't need a second AD, but yeah, that's kind of what it is. They're going to be obviously probably operating the camera, or the camera's on a tripod. They're going to have to find a way to record sound. Hopefully the best way to do it, in my opinion, is record sound right into the camera. Run a microphone into the camera. Lighting and grip, maybe they set up lights. Maybe they're using outdoor natural light or something, or maybe they're just not bothering documentary style. That's a good way to get around it for little stuff, is just shoot stuff documentary style, because everybody understands the sort of aesthetic of documentary. And as long as your narrative can sort of fit that, it's pretty useful. Art department, best of luck to you. And in this case, and in most cases for the cheapest stuff, whether or not you're paying the actors to be there, there's this idea of makeup ready. So they've done their makeup themselves, or they're just not going to have makeup. And maybe have them bring a few different outfits, or at least a few different shirts as options. And that's your wardrobe. It's real messy, but if you're telling a story narratively that takes place in the now, or in the reality that we live in, people are going to look like people. That kind of works, So we're not making Narnia here, and that's what it is. Okay, so let's keep going. So now we have a second crew member. Now you can split the load, and the way I like to split the load on stuff that I work on is I'm a lot more camera focused usually, and so the other person will be the director, the creative person, and I will handle shot composition and all the camera stuff, and maybe a bunch of other technical stuff. Yeah, so that's how you can split it. So you have person one is all of a sudden handling dealing with the actors, maybe helping with shot composition and planning, but they're also just staying in the zone with the actors. I think is the top priority. And I think the theme through all of this little tiny set stuff is something's got to give. And so for a one person crew or a two person crew, everything's got to give. And so, in my opinion, I think the best course of action in almost every situation is follow the actor with the camera, because that they're the only thing of value that you're really going to be able to capture organically. Put them in a cool place if you can find a cool location. Put them in a cool place, but just follow the actor around with the camera, because you don't have anything else, and it is what it is. And so as things get bigger and more complex with the crews and maybe more money involved, but let's be honest, maybe not, then you can sort of be a little bit more choosy about stuff. But when it's the simplest, you have an actor, they're at a location, just stay on the actor. Don't try to be fancy with camera stuff. Don't try to be fancy with like special effects stuff. It's not worth it, because it's not going to look good. So and that accounts for two person crew too. So yeah, again, going back to it, I like to have the one person, usually the person directing, also producing, whatever the definition of this is. Just working with the actor, working on the creative stuff. They're going to unfortunately have to be the one script supervising, so tracking the dialogue if there is dialogue, all that kind of stuff, and just making sure they're getting the scenes they need. And so they'll obviously, it'd be nice to have a shot list or whatever the other word is. I'll put it in if I remember to put it in. But that's going to be on the director, and then person number two is going to be the technical person. So running camera, running sound. If there's lights, doing that. Hopefully there's no grip stuff. Just lights on simple stands, or just lights available, or bounce boards and stuff. And the rest of the stuff is just going to be, it is what it is. So, but as long as you're capturing an image of your subject and you're capturing good sound, that's kind of all you can go after when you got two people. So, is that a third person? So now you can start splitting stuff up. So the first person still going to be the director working with the actor, because that's the name of the game. The name of the game is the name of the game, and that's the working with the actors. But now you can have a camera department or an image department, and you can have a technical department. And so the first person is the directing department. They're going to be just working creatively with the actors. The second person is going to be camera, sound, maybe lighting. Again, don't get too ambitious for one person, because the mental load is it's insane, especially if you try to, blend the creative with the technical. It makes a real mess. So that's why that third person is now the stopwatch person. They're going to have the script. They're going to script supervise. They're going to first AD. They're going to have a schedule. They're going to have worked with the director and possibly the director of photography, the number two person, to have a planned schedule of shot lists and what kind of takes they're going for and all this kind of stuff. And so the director is going to be working with the actor. The camera operator is going to be, recording the stuff, and the third person is going to be making sure everybody's on time so they can keep going, so they can actually, get stuff done. Sometimes you can have that third person work on, more interesting stuff too, like art stuff or props or stuff. Stuff that can be done ahead of time. Wardrobe is also one of those. Maybe if they're really good with makeup, maybe they can be the makeup person or the touch-up person between takes. But yeah, you gotta divvy out the roles, because no one person can handle all of it. It's just one of those things. So let's add a fourth person. So we got our director in the middle, we got our camera operator, we got our stopwatch person, our fourth person. Our fourth person is usually what I would consider a swing, a catch-all. You know, in a really condescending way, they usually get called PA, which is just that's not cool based on how things are going and the responsibilities they're going to have. But if the director of photography needs help setting up the camera, moving the camera around, or something, then that person, swing person, is doing that. If the number three person, the first AD, needs help, changing the schedule on the fly or coordinating something or producing something, that person can step in. If the director the director needs to be doing what they're doing. I can't actually have that person sub in for the director, really, honestly. But yeah, this extra person can do a lot. Unfortunately, it's usually a technical role and not a creative role at all. And so, because you're kind of just an assistant at that point, so you're usually helping with lighting. Maybe you're doing boom sound, but honestly, with this tiny crew, I still think a mic going into a camera is still your best solution. Yeah. So, all right, let's add a fifth person. So now you're starting to have a crew. You're starting to be able to actually spread out the load the way, the Western way of making movies kind of does it with these departments. Anyway, number two is still going to be a camera. Number three is still going to be the first AD. Calling shots, watching the time, checking the stopwatch, all that kind of stuff. Probably script supervising still. Number four is still going to be a swing, but number five, now we have the extra person in case there's a specialty that's needed. This could be props, this could be special effects, this could be producing, like planning stuff, or just another grip to be able to move stuff around if you have equipment. I would still caution extremely against having basically any equipment at this size crew, just because it's a real mess, and it's a pain in the ass to move stuff around, even if you have one location. So this first person, or this fifth person, I think is best suited as just another swing. So basically, 4 and 5 are both swing people, doing additional stuff. And so once you go above, a 5-person crew, then you really have an opportunity to sort of build out your departments the way they're meant to be built out. Because honestly, the first AD watching the stopwatch is really not going to have time or mental capacity to also be going line by line in the script and making sure the actor is saying the dialogue right, or we're getting the right, content in the scenes, or making sure that the Starbucks can on Game of Thrones doesn't show up, that kind of thing. As far as actors go, that fifth person is very useful as a makeup artist or a wardrobe person, somebody to deal with the actors that's not the director, somebody non-creative in the sense that the actors are not taking creative notes from this person. They're there to creatively support the person by making them look pretty, look good, look interesting, add to a production value to the image, which is, clothes, makeup, hair, all that kind of stuff. And then once you get above 5, so I think building out the director's roles is really useful. Sound, again, even on giant stuff, to have a sound mixer is nice. To have a boom op as an additional person is nice, but unfortunately for little tiny stuff, it's just not practical. So maybe this fifth person could sub in as sound. Maybe they're doing makeup and then they're, holding the boom or something. But again, even in this situation, I think in most cases, sound going straight into camera is still your best bet, just because that way the camera operator is able to monitor the sound, because you need somebody listening to sound. I feel like I haven't said that yet. Yeah. So, and let me think if I need to elaborate more. So the big tricky thing with little tiny crews with no money, it also means no time, and it means people flake out. And so maybe you the night before your set day, you have 5 people committed, but unless they're getting paid, if they find work elsewhere, you can't really begrudge them for not showing up. So maybe you planned for 5 and now you have 3. Well, that just means you got to get rid of roles, or you got to mix roles into everything. And what's very useful about the camera department is usually a director of photography or cinematographer or camera operator, depending on how you're gonna split hairs, is pretty comfortable with lighting and grip stuff, because it's those departments share a lot of responsibilities, not only creatively but also like literally, physically handling stuff. And so the camera department's the one where it's convenient to sort of just give them all the technical filmmaking equipment stuff roles, if there are many, because again, for little tiny stuff, I still think it's a mistake to bring a bunch of equipment to set, because then you got to move that shit around. But you're always going to need a director. You're always going to need somebody with a stopwatch. And it's really, really tough when the director is the stopwatch person, because they're in total mental conflict. And some of them can do it well, but most of them either just end up just doing the directing thing and totally lose track of time because it's fun, or they become totally obsessed with the clock and it's a miserable experience, and they're not going to get good performances out of the actors because they're not going to be giving the actors any real creative feedback. And so, again, it needs to be a director doing creative stuff, a first AD watching the stopwatch, and then somewhere else, which is technically its own department, but somebody reading the script as the actors are saying the words and stuff is happening on the screen, seeing if it matches the page and taking notes, because all those script supervisor notes are going to go in with the director and probably the camera operator, because let's be honest, they're going to basically be the ones editing. Let's be real. All those notes are going to end up in editorial with the director and the camera operator for the edit. So, art department stuff is just, it's fun, but it's an accessory, and it's expensive, and it's time consuming, and some of it can be done ahead of time, with or without money. But even just bringing it to set on the shoot day adds time. And so you got to pick and choose. I think honestly, you're better finding a great one location for your story, and either having a bunch of art stuff that you can dress ahead of time so that you can just go on to set and work, or just know that you're not going to have a lot of art stuff and you're just going to have to grab stuff that's already at the location that you're going to shoot at. It's a thing, and it's even in high dollar stuff sometimes, especially in like reality shows and documentaries and stuff. Finding stuff that's in the location that you have and just moving it into frame to make it interesting is the art direction. So, what else do I want to say about this? You can't mess up the sound. You gotta have a sound recording. I do have an asterisk about this, but I want to really make it clear that sound has to be recorded well. Obviously, you want the actors to give you good takes, and as a director, you got to really decide if that means 2 takes or 1 take or 3 takes. You're probably not going to be in a situation, if you have a crew of 3 to 5, to do David Fincher's 56 takes per setup. It's just not a good idea, because you're never going to ever get done. But you gotta parse a bunch of stuff, but you gotta get good sound. The sort of like cheat or escape with that is 2 things. I think narrative films need to have a boom with a mic, with somebody with headphones on listening at all times. Maybe that's the camera guy, and either the mic is on the camera, which sucks but can be done, or the mic is strategically placed in the scene somewhere, which can be good, or ideally you have somebody with hands holding the mic out on a boom, and somebody's monitoring that sound. But no matter what, somebody has to monitor that sound. Also, it's really nice just to have lav packs, lapel mics, whether or not they're radio lavs that go back to the camera. Honestly, it's financially kind of hard to do that, and so you can just get for a couple $100 or a rental, just little lavalier packs that it's just a little lapel mic going into a pack that records on a memory card, and just put them on every actor and just roll them, and just, yeah, there's your backup sound. So, and then plan B is, if your sound sucks, which it inevitably will in certain scenes, in post-production, you got to bring the actor back in to re-record. And it's a pain in the ass, but it can be done. So, I think, yeah, I think you gotta put lavaliers on everybody. That's got speaking roles when you're making movies, just because you just tape them to their chest, or have them clip them to their bra, and that is what it is. The rest of it, you got to make sure the camera person, the director of photography, is comfortable working with less, because, especially film school, because film school for cinematographers, directors of photography, are so much about getting them exposed to not only the theory and the practice, but also current, or, close to current technology, RE cameras, red cameras, that kind of thing. For little tiny projects like this, a lot of directors of photography, if they're not used to working this small, are going to get really confused when they realize not only do they not have any budget for anything, but they're going to have to use definitely a crappier camera, probably crappier lenses if there's multiple lenses to begin with, and they're not going to have a support crew. They're going to have to do it all, including taking audio. And, one-man band kind of, documentary people, that they're used to that. But, kids coming out of film school calling themselves cinematographer are going to freak out when they realize that they're going to have no resources, but they're going to have all the responsibilities. And so, you just got to let them know, it's going to be a real grind, and they're going to have to make absolute compromises with everything, from the quality of the image to the fact that they're going to have to move stands if they want stands. And some people are cool with it, and some people will never forgive you, and you just got to try to weed them out. So, what else? Makeup is really useful. A lot of actors and actresses, male actors and female actors, know how to do makeup because they've had to, because they've been doing YouTube, or they've been doing whatever. Yeah, that's good. That's cool. I would try to find a way to compensate them for that if they're doing their own makeup, because it's not nothing. It is kind of a pain in the ass. It's nice to have somebody in your corral that can do makeup and is comfortable with makeup and is comfortable. That's one of those things you gotta pay for the expendables of makeup, because it's really not sanitary or safe to have the same makeup being put on everybody, like the same brushes and everything. That's a makeup person's deal. And so, yeah, if you can find a makeup artist or somebody who's good at makeup and enjoys it, and they're not using the same brushes on everybody because that's gross, hold on to them for dear life, because they are invaluable. And the camera department and the editorial department, when they're editing and they're looking at the image and you're realizing that, oh my God, makeup makes a difference. It makes a difference. Yeah. Wardrobe, similar situation, although you can rent wardrobe from places, or if you're, if your narrative is in the here and now with people in the society that you live in, kind of what they're wearing works. My only note about that is make sure they're wearing different colors, unless there's a specific reason why they're all supposed to be wearing the same color, like they're in uniform, which if they're in uniform, you're probably dealing with a rental anyway. But yeah, it's just nice to have different characters in different colors. Try not to make them wear white, because white is really hard to deal with, especially when you're outside for the camera. But, colors, simple stuff. This kind of stuff without patterns, stuff without logos on it is nice, just because, you might have to blur out logos, but more likely it's distracting. Logos are distracting. Let me see if there's any other stuff. I come from the camp that, when it comes to writing the script, simple, clear, concise, well polished. Like, is better than complicated, abstract, elaborate for short films, just because you got to get it done. You got to get it done, and you got to show the script to people who will meet you there on set and go, I still understand what you're saying, even after having read this 1,000 times. That's one thing. When you get on set, stick to the script until you can't, but just know that the more you deviate from the script, the more it's going to basically be impossible to put the story back together in post. So you're better off just at least getting a take of what the script gives you every single time, before people go off into fantasy explorations of blah blah blah. But the most important thing for me and for stuff that I watch and care about, other than sound, because sound either works or doesn't, is the performance of the actors. And so sometimes you have actors that either just can't do it on the day or whatever. Sometimes you're just not going to get good performances. You got to find a way to cut around the performances if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. But short of that, I think the thing that you're going to want to do when you're making films is get the actors, like, keep it on the actors, because they're the ones, they're why you're here. They're the ones basically shepherding your story visually. It's nice to be a director, but the director stands behind the camera. So whatever you can do to get the actors doing actor stuff, that's really what it is, because that's your whole thing. Again, this is kind of where documentaries are a bit of a cheat, a bit of an advantage, because they don't need to be actors. They're basically retelling what they're known for, what the documentary is about, and that's usually interview style, or they're walking around, or they're showing you a thing. Yeah, actors have to do that, but they also have to do that as a fictional thing. And so there's a I don't know if I'm describing this right, but basically, if I were to only focus on one thing, no matter how big my crew is, it would be the actors and the actors' performances, and to try to make sure that the actors get into an environment where they can give you real, proper, authentic feeling performances, because that's what the experience of the movie is for me. That's what I care about the most. So, bad lighting, gross camera, cheap looking costumes, maybe, I don't know, but as long as the actors are, portraying something that feels human, I think you're okay. It starts with a script, but the actors are really what's going to end up on the screen. And then when you do editing, you just got to make sure that you're taking the best parts of the script and the best performances of the actors to create something that is a hybrid of both the artistic intent and the artistic intent to deliver something that hopefully works, hopefully resonates. Yeah. So I don't know how helpful this was. I feel like I got way into the weeds, but I've been meaning to do this, and it just seemed like I forced myself to do it. So, all these roles, as you practice more stuff, and as you get good at different set roles, you can sort of move around a little bit. Like, if you have a group of people that you're comfortable working with, film school is very useful for this, where one person's a camera person, one person's a directing person, one person's an acting person. You can stick and move, you can bob and weave a little bit, and you can move the roles around. But for just simplicity's sake, the golden rule is, keep the creative stuff on set separate from the technical stuff. Try to make those two different people, because it just doesn't seem to work. And then just make sure you're treating everybody nice, because no assholes on set. So I don't know. Let me know. I'm sure I missed more than I got, but let me know. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you next time.